Welcome back to Life Be Lifing. Was there something in your family that everyone knew, but nobody acknowledged? Maybe children weren't allowed to ask questions. Maybe adults changed the subject. Maybe someone would simply say, "We don't talk about that." Sometimes they didn't even have to say those words. You could feel them. The room would change. The conversation would stop. People would exchange looks. And you learn some truths are not welcome here. Today, we're talking about the family secrets everyone protected. Every family has private moments. Privacy is healthy. Secrecy is different. Privacy protects dignity. Secrecy often protects dysfunction. Healthy privacy says, "This is personal." Unhealthy secrecy says, "No matter who gets hurt, nobody outside this family can ever know." Children don't always understand the difference. They simply learn that certain people, certain memories, certain conversations are off limits. Eventually, they stop asking. Not because they no longer wonder, because they've learned wondering isn't safe. Families rarely keep secrets because they enjoy deception. Most often, they're trying to protect something: a reputation, a marriage, a parent's image, a family business, a community standing. Sometimes they're protecting themselves from shame. Sometimes they're protecting themselves from judgment. Sometimes they're protecting pain they've never learned how to face. But here's what often happens: the longer a secret stays hidden, the heavier it becomes, and eventually, everyone in the family starts carrying a weight they didn't create. Silence has a way of teaching children lessons. If nobody talks about what happened, children begin believing they shouldn't talk about what hurts them either. If adults pretend everything is okay, children often believe honesty creates problems. So they keep quiet about fear, about sadness, about confusion, about questions. The secret may belong to one person, but the silence belongs to everyone. And silence doesn't just hide pain, it often passes it to the next generation. In many families, the first person to tell the truth isn't celebrated. They're questioned, ignored, blamed, or accused of tearing the family apart. Have you ever noticed that? The behavior may continue for years. But when someone finally says, "This isn't okay," they become the problem. Why? Because truth changes systems. Truth asks families to confront what they've spent years avoiding. That's uncomfortable. But discomfort isn't the enemy. Sometimes it's the beginning of healing. Now let's get this straight. Healing doesn't always begin with everyone agreeing. Sometimes it begins with one person choosing honesty. Not honesty to embarrass people. Not honesty to seek revenge. Honesty to create freedom. Freedom from pretending. Freedom from carrying someone else's shame. Freedom from believing silence is the same as loyalty. Because it isn't. Loyalty should never require protecting harm. Real love makes room for truth. Many adults who grew up around family secrets struggle to trust their own instincts. They wonder if they're imagining things. They hesitate to speak up. They fear upsetting people. Not because they're weak, because silence became normal. Healing begins when we realize that acknowledging the truth doesn't dishonor a family. Sometimes it's the most loving thing we can do. Because families don't heal by hiding wounds, they heal by caring for them. Here's something I'd like you to remember. A family secret may explain why people behaved the way they did, but it should never become permission for pain to continue. You can love your family and still choose honesty. You can protect someone's dignity without protecting harmful behavior. And you can be the person who changes what gets passed down. Before we end today, I'd like you to reflect on this question. What truth did your family teach you to stay silent about? Just be honest with yourself. Because healing often begins the moment we stop carrying secrets that were never ours to protect. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and remember, the family you came from may explain your story, but it doesn't have to write your future. Healing begins when understanding turns into intentional change.